Hey guys, Aaron here, back for another Body Club workout. Today we're going to be doing a pretty gentle Pilates class. So this is going to be great for anyone who's feeling tight through their back and wants to release tension. For anyone who spends prolonged periods of time sitting at a desk and wants to open out their body, or for anyone who just wants to learn some entry-level Pilates exercises. And just a note to say, if anyone's experiencing quite a lot of pain in their back, that it is quite important to make sure you go and see a medical professional and go and seek help that way. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off nice and simply with a roll down. So you're going to plant your feet facing forward, hip width apart, and you're going to relax your arms to your sides. We're going to just take a little bend through the spine. So you see we're going to start to roll down, chin to the chest. Nice and smooth, rolling down through the spine and just hanging the spine out. If you know you're quite tight through the back of the legs, it's a good idea to just take a little bit of a bend through the knees. And then you're going to roll back up through your spine, one vertebrae at a time. You're going to bring the crown of the head all the way up to the ceiling and let the shoulders relax back down. Let's open out as well by reaching up. Good control down, chin to chest. Unroll, let the knees bend, the head hangs nice and heavy, the arms hang heavy, and we're going to take a nice deep breath into the back. Bend the knees, and exhale to roll up, let those shoulders relax down away from the ears, standing up nice and tall. Take the arms, stretch them up to the ceiling, breathe in, really nice big lift. Rolling down one more time, chin to your chest, unravel through the spine. Hanging the body out nice and loose, a little bit of a bend through the knees. Rolling up through. Trying to stack that vertebrae up, one vertebrae at a time. So we're articulating the spine. What you can find with the back particularly as it gets quite stiff is we lose the ability to what's called segmentally control the vertebrae. So we move the vertebrae one by one, and that allows that control and mobility of the spine. So that's what some of these exercises are going to address. We're going to bring it down to the mat, and we're actually going to move through a cat-cow. So we're going to bring the knees underneath the hips and the hands underneath the shoulders. I'm going to push down through my hands and down through my knees. I'm going to lift and pull up through my abdominals. And as you see, the pelvis just tips back slightly. I push through the hands and I look between my thighs. And then I come back the other way and start to arch my back. I inhale as I look forward and glide my shoulders down away from my ears. From here again, pushing downward through the floor, lifting up and in through those abdominals and rounding off through the spine. Rounding off the back of the head as well. And then inhale, gliding back through, all the time trying to keep the arms nice and straight. Exhale through. And inhale back. 2 more reps. This feels so nice. It's such a nice way to warm up the spine. Open up your breathing. Inhaling through the nose, exhale through the mouth, and push through the floor, really rounding off the spine, and then back through into a nice neutral position. Good. We're going to start to add some rotation into this position. So the same position, this time what I'm going to do is take my right hand, and I'm going to thread my right arm underneath me, and I'm going to bend into my left elbow. And I'm going to thread my arm all the way through, dropping my shoulder and my head to the floor. And then I'm going to come back to the top. I'm going to make sure I'm in a neutral position. So if you look, the back is relatively straight. We're into a neutral position. I'm not too rounded off through that upper back. Okay, so if you think posturally, we want to make sure we've got that little bit of extension to come through into a neutral spine. Then we're going to go back through the other way. Exhale through. Twist, drop the shoulder and the head towards the floor, and then inhale, lengthen out, the chin slightly tucked and the back of the head pressing to the ceiling. So 2 more of these. Exhale, dive through. Inhale back to the top. And exhale, dive through. Feels like you're diving forward a little bit in this position and then back to the top. And then we're going to take another layer of this one and we're going to dive through with the right arm. And I'm going to rotate back up the other way. And I'm going to lead with my elbow towards the ceiling. And then I'm going to open up my arm as well. And I'm going to push down through this bottom arm here and look up through my hand. And I'm going to do the same side. So the right arm dives through again. And the right arm comes back up and reaches. Let's try the other side. Left arm's going to dive through this time. Exhale through. Push down through that bottom arm, rotate up. Exhale through. Push down through the bottom arm. Inhale, stretch the elbow and then the hand up to the ceiling. Good, and back. Right, so starting to feel a bit looser through the spine now. We're going to move through into the lower back and we're going to start to lie onto your back. From here, my feet are going to be shoulder width apart, and my feet flat on the floor. I'm going to tip my hips forwards, and I'm going to arch my back off the mat. I'm going to exhale and push my back down into the floor, tipping my pelvis back, so I feel the tailbone coming off of the floor. And then I'm going to tip my pelvis forward again, and arch my back off the floor. And I'm going to draw the ribs and the pubic bone towards each other to push the back into the floor. This helps to activate the abdominals a little bit and just helps to mobilize the spine through. So we're tipping forward as we inhale, and we're tipping back as we exhale. Tipping forward as we inhale, tipping back as we exhale. 2 more to go. And 1. Good, and release. This is just a nice way to start to engage the abs and loosen out the lower back. From here, we're going to start to do a little bit more core activation. So I'm going to slide my fingertips underneath my lower back, my back arched. And I'm going to press my back down into my fingertips. So I can feel a bit of pressure with my lower back on my fingertips. And I'm going to hold this position. My feet and my knees are going to be about fist width apart. And then all I'm going to do is, without pushing through the left leg into the floor, is I'm going to lift the right leg up. And then I'm going to lower it down. Doesn't look like a lot, but the idea here, what we're trying to do is maintain a constant pressure with your back into the fingertips. So as the leg lowers down, you keep the same amount of pressure into the fingertips as your leg was at the top, or as when your leg was at the top. And down, okay? And to make it harder, if you want to work harder in this one, nice and simple, the legs come up, and then from here we lower one leg down to tap the floor and lift. And the other side lowers down, tap the floor and lift. And that's an inhalation on the way down. And it's harder than it looks to keep that pressure constant on the fingertips. So this might be enough. Again, there's another layer of progression here. We can stretch all the way out through the leg and pull it back. If you can keep your back pressed again in towards those fingertips without squashing them to death. Just that constant pressure to hold that neutral spine. There's your progression. So you've got 3 layers or levels to work through there. Good. And bring one leg down and the other leg down. A little bit more work through the spine from here as we walk the feet towards the hips with the palms facing down by the hips. I'm going to rotate back through the pelvis to let my tailbone lift off the floor. And then I'm going to peel up through my spine and push firmly down through the feet to push the hips up. I'm going to take a breath in, then I'm going to drop my ribs first. So this is the important bit, is trying to be able to get your spine to articulate one by one. So I drop the chest, and I feel each vertebrae connect down to the floor, all the way down until you feel your tailbone lower to the floor. So we'll try that again. Up, lift, and down, one by one. All right, and then take an inhalation at the bottom. Very important as you're doing this, guys, to make sure you don't push your ribs up and use your back. So it might feel like you're lifting your hips, but actually what you might be doing is arching your back. So to get our hamstrings and our gluteals really active, we have to think about lengthening the tailbone under, pulling the pubic bone towards you, just getting that little bit of tilt in the pelvis, and then pushing up from your hips. Then you'll get lots of activity through the hamstrings and the glutes. Yeah? And then you can lower yourself down. Turn those palms facing up. That will help to open the shoulders up. 2 more reps, peeling up. And down. And 1 more. Good, you start to feel that activity through the back of the hips there. Great stuff. We're going to move through into a half roll up. So I'm going to come to a seated position. I'm going to sit myself up nice and straight from here. Okay, I'm going to take my hands, I'm going to hold on behind my thighs, I'm going to pull my elbows apart. And I'm just going to lengthen all the way up through the crown of my head to pull myself up, sitting upright. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to just slightly tip my pelvis backwards. I'm going to draw in and upward through my abdominals. And I'm going to come to the point until my arms straighten. Okay? And then leading with the crown of the head forwards, I'm going to exhale through. And then I'm going to sit up nice and straight to the top. Okay? And back. Creating, as you see, the spine creates a long C curve. And back. And sitting upright, pulling those shoulder blades back. Think good posture as you're doing this one. A little bit harder, we can take the arms away. This is a harder option, and we can control back into our C curve. And up, leading through the crown of the head, and then sitting up nice and tall. Harder option still, hands come onto your shoulders, so we've just got more weight going back behind our center of mass. And up. Really important there, keep your feet on the floor. Don't worry if your toes come off a little bit, but make sure you keep your feet on the floor as much as possible. So one of those 3 options again, last 2 reps to go. Or arms forward, or hands behind your thighs. Good. And release. Excellent. We're going to bring the spine, so that's quite a lot of flexion through the spine to bring it through flexion. The good thing about flexion is it helps to activate your abdominals. But we do tend to sit a lot of the day into this flexed position. So really important to open out and work the spine through extension as well. Helps to release tension. So we're going to come onto your front, and you're going to bring your forehead down onto the mat. And you're going to bring your arms out. So my shoulders at 90 degrees and my elbows at 90 degrees. From here, I'm going to reach out through my toe tips. So I'm going to really make sure I'm not floppy through my legs, but reaching out through my toes. And I'm just going to slightly take my pelvis and just gently tip it back a little bit. Okay, so these abdominals lift up off the floor a little. From here, I'm going to lift through the back of the head. I'm going to look just beyond the end of the mat. Make sure you're not craning your neck. So if you're stiff in your neck, you want to lengthen your neck. A little tuck through the chin and a press to the ceiling through the back of the head. And down. Inhale, lift. exhale down. So it's just a gentle movement through the spine. Now you might find from here, you can create a little bit more movement. So to create a bit more movement, all we do is once we come as high as we can, we push downward through the hands. Very important to push downward through the shoulders. You lift your abdominals in and up and off the mat to create this nice long curve. And now we're looking forwards. But again, we're looking forwards without pushing your chin out. I'm going to keep the chin again slightly tucked and lift through the abdominals. Elbows down, torso down. So coming up into our cobra position. Inhaling on the way up. Exhaling, control down. 3 to go. Pushing down through those shoulders, lifting the torso. 2 more. Leading to the ceiling with the crown of the head. Shoulders glide downward away from the ears. Really good. And I always like to go into a little bit of a child stretch after the child pose, after doing extension through the spine. Really good. Okay, we're going to go into some side bending. I'm going to give you some modifications for this one, just depending on how tight you are, how tight you feel around your hips. So what we're going to do is take one leg to the front and tuck it in. I'm going to take the other foot and we're going to bring it around the back and we're going to tuck it around the back like so. So the position that you want to find is so that your foot is pointed. We actually get a bit of mobility work around the ankle joint as well, so it helps to loosen up the stiff ankles. Now you might find this is a bit of a struggle, particularly if you're tight in and around the knees. So what you can do is you could actually do this one into seated with your legs crossed. And if you struggle seating with your legs crossed, then prop yourself up on something like a couple of books or a block or something like that. Okay? So I'm going to demonstrate this one with the leg tucked behind. You can always do this with the legs crossed, not a problem. Tuck your leg around behind you, and we're going to use the hand to hold on to the shin. Okay? And then I'm going to take the other arm up, and I'm going to pull myself. So I'm getting leverage with my arm on my shin, and I'm pulling across. Okay? And I'm actually taking this arm, reaching as far as I can through. Very important. And then I kind of come back to the center, and I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to reach as far as I can, plant my left hand, drop the left elbow, and bend up and over the other way. Really pushing down through the floor to laterally flex the spine. And then I'm going to imagine I'm being pulled up through the fingertips and up through the crown of the head, so I sit up nice and tall again. And then I'm going to go up and over again. Back to the top. Reach. Palm to the floor, elbow to the floor, and over. Back. And through. One more. Reach and over. Good. Back to the top. We're going to do that through the other side. As I say, you've got your modification. So if you're sitting with your legs crossed, just change your legs so you're sitting your legs crossed the other way. And you can do this one the same way. Yeah? This time I tuck the other leg around behind, pointing the toes. And then just sitting into the hip, nice and relaxed into that hip. And then from here, holding the shin, reaching the arm up, flexing over laterally to the side, that lateral bend, really important to have good lateral flexion through the spine. Palm, elbow down, and reach that other arm up and over. To the top, and over, pull up, stretch, reach away, elbow down, and through. 2 to go, and through. Staying nice and square, so we don't want to lean too much with the torso. We want to try and keep pushing that opposite hip down in towards the floor. Yeah? And then back to the top. And release. Really nice way to loosen out through the obliques and the lats and off the side of the hips as well. Good. From here, we're going to work a bit more strength through the obliques. So I'm going to spin back around again, and I'm going to come onto my elbow, and the elbow directly underneath the shoulder. Okay. Top leg is straight, bottom knee is bent, and the bottom knee is bent just slightly in front. Okay. And then from here, I'm going to come up into a side plank position. So I'm going to push down through my bottom knee, push down through the bottom foot, and I'm going to come up to a nice straight line. And then from here, we're actually going to go just slightly beyond that straight line and bring the arm over so the biceps come by the ear. And then inhale and lower. You want to make sure this elbow is directly under the shoulder, not too close into the body, not too far away. Okay? Let's go up again. Exhale, lift. And inhale down. Tap the hips to the floor. Push down through the knees and the feet and lift through. Good, guys. Keep it going. Really making sure we're lifting from underneath. And lift through. And release. Good stuff. And then we spin around to the other side. Of course, do one side, have to do the other. Bottom knee bent, top leg straight, elbow under the shoulder. Lift. Up into that straight line, go a little bit beyond the straight line, push those hips high, and lower through. Exhale up, straight line and over. Inhale, control it, all the way back down. Really push down through the elbow as well. And you might find that your head's poking forward a little bit. Just tuck that chin, bring the back of the head back, to lengthen yourself up. One more lift, all the way through and down and release. Excellent. We're going to take the spine and the hips now through some rotation. Really nice, important work to do, again, to loosen out through any stiffnesses that you have through your back and through the hips. My knees are wide, my arms are out to the side, my shoulders press back. I'm going to rotate through my hips and I'm going to rotate through my knees, and I'm going to drop one knee out to the floor and the other knee in towards the floor. Then I'm going to come back through the center. I'm going to twist across to the other side. Here I'm pushing my opposite shoulder and my opposite hand down into the floor and back through the center. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Imagine you're going to reach your knees away from you. Inhaling, twist. Push down through that opposite arm into the floor and back. Okay? Next, we're going to do it with the legs together. So my feet together and my knees together. Arms to the side, and I'm going to twist. So this goes a little bit deeper now. And it's very important you imagine your knees and your feet were sort of bound together. So that as you twist, as I twist across, you can see that my feet stay stacked. So I'm not sliding my knees. The top foot comes over the bottom one. I reach the knee away and I push the opposite shoulder and hand down into the floor. And back. And then again, breathing in to twist and out to the center. Now you might want to progress this. It might actually just feel really easy. If it does, just lift the legs up, have the feet together, and do the same movement, but with your knees and your hips bent at 90 degrees. Just inhale, twist. Exhale back. Inhale, twist. Good, guys. Exhale back. Inhale, twist. Exhale back. Last one. Good, and release, lowering one leg, followed by the other. And then to finish off here, guys, we're just going to open out through the hips. A lot of the time, the tightnesses from your back can actually originate from tightnesses around the hips, your hamstrings, your glutes, your hip flexors, all sort of have a role in pulling and holding, stabilizing the pelvis into position. So we're just going to do a nice stretch to finish off with to help to loosen and open up through the hips. So we're going to come through, and we're going to sort of come into a high plank position to hold it, and then I'm actually going to lunge forward and through with my left leg, okay? So what happens is my shin comes at a diagonal across the mat, all right? So my left foot's on the opposite side of the mat. And then I pick up my back knee, and I'm just going to wiggle that knee back as far as I can, all right? And then I'm just going to start to sink this right hip down towards the left heel. And I'm going to rock gently. Just keep it nice and loose. Just rock gently side to side. Just feel your way into it. You're going to work your way to your hips being in the center. You don't want to be too open. Don't want to rotate too far close. You want to keep the hips nice and square to the floor. And then from here, we can drop down into the elbows. Lifting and reaching your chest forwards. That might be enough. If you're feeling that you've got the range there, you can work through. Bring your forehead down to the mat between your arms, okay? If this is a bit much, especially for your knee or your hip, or you're kind of struggling, modification for you if you want modification. So if you are in that stretch, keep holding it. Otherwise, your modification, bring your left ankle on top of the right knee. Reach your arms through so you hold onto your shin or hold onto the back of your thigh. Bring your head to the floor and then pull the leg towards you. Okay? If you still struggle with that, don't worry. Just try to put your ankle onto your thigh and then just pull your knee into your chest. Okay? There's another modification for you. Okay? So if you're holding that pigeon stretch, you're going to bring yourself out of that one. So you walk your hands back up, and you come back into your plank, and we go to the other side. I'm going to spin around just so you can see. So we're going to go the other way, into that plank. Other leg, right leg forwards. Sink down into the hip. Wiggle the other leg back. Rock side to side gently to open the hip. Find the center, find the middle, and down onto elbows. Might be enough here. Otherwise, walk your arms forwards. Bring the head down to the floor. Breathe into the stretch and hold it for me. Other option, remember, ankle on top of the knee joints. Holding either behind the shin or behind the thigh. Pulling the leg to the chest, bringing the head down. Other option, ankle onto the opposite knee joint, hugging the knee in to the chest might be enough. And then just release yourself out of that stretch and bring yourself up slowly. Great stuff. All right, thank you very much, guys, for joining in today's session. Hopefully it was helpful for you. Feel free to check out any of my other workouts or Pilates classes on the Body Club YouTube channel or website. Thanks a lot, guys. Catch you next time. Bye.